good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to ORL Season 13, Round 20, as we make our way to the circuit Autódromo Hermanos Rodríguez in Mexico. And we are in for a thrilling race, to say the least. I'm Yusuf Milky Cyril bin Sahel, and I'll be bringing you all of the action in our 20th round of the championship tonight. For those of you who forgot what happened last time out in Japan, it was Ruben Vallejo who took the win, and he took it ahead of Barry Boromand and Sven Nolla. However, a time penalty for Barry Boromand was taken away post-race, and Barry takes the win. He's second in the last three races, and arguably, out of any driver, it is Barry at the moment who is showing absolutely fine form. 2 race wins and a P2 in 3 races. Surely even Jarno Opmeer might be quaking in his boots right now at the thought of having to go against Barry Boromand once again. Of course, Danny Moreno currently P2 in the championship. 3 wins so far in the championship, but recently maybe not quite in fine form. A 7th place, a 4th place, and another 4th place in his last 3 races leaves a little to be desired from the 2nd place man. 3rd place in the championship, Mr. Tomek Poradis is on 109 points, and you can see the driver standings beautifully illustrated on the top right of your screen. So, Jarno leads from Danny Moreno and Tomek Poradis. Sabe Benz Koni is in P4. Alessio Di Capua is in P5 ahead of Matthias Cologon, Ruben Vallejo and Josh Idawu in P8 as Nicolas Matteo and Fabrizio Donoso complete the top 10. And while Jarno Opmeer might be our current champion of both Season 12 and Season 13, there is still a fair bit to fight for in the rest of the championship, especially for that P3 spot between McLaren and the AlphaTauri of Mr. Benz Sabo Koni. Only 4 points separating the pair of them, and then you've got Alessio Di Capua charging up the orders, having not driven too many races himself. Has the 1 win as well from Belgium. And what does this mean in the Constructors' Championship as well? So it's Alfa Romeo that lead the way. Mercedes 2nd place in the Constructors, over 100 points behind, and with just 2 races remaining in the championship, that is an insurmountable gap. Alfa Romeo are your Constructors' champions, pardon me. McLaren in P3, 150 points nearly behind Mercedes. They won't be taking P2 anytime soon, but the battle for 3rd is thick and, well, quite a few teams in contention. McLaren leading the way from Ferrari, Haas, Williams and AlphaTauri, and then a bit of a jump down to Renault, and Red Bull and Racing Point complete that Constructors' table. So, the track that we have coming your way tonight, the Autódromo Hermanos Rodríguez, a 17-corner track. And it's not one where we won't be seeing any overtaking. We might be getting some DRS trains forming. That is exceptionally possible, especially with a very long straight leading into Turn 1, followed by the 2nd DRS straight that leads into Turn 4. Both Turn 1 and Turn 4 will be big overtaking opportunities, but those 2 are not the only overtaking opportunities out on circuit. If you can get a good exit through the Turn 4 and 5 chicane, you can probably have a little cheeky look down the inside into Turn 6, the hairpin. You can run side by side, but it can cost you a lot of time. So expect drivers, especially if they're trying, to maybe have a bit of a battle, but also not to lose too much time, to wait. Wait through the long slalom, as I like to call it, of Turn 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Get a good run, and then as you enter the stadium section, the right hand of Turn 12, just throw it down the inside. Maybe even hang it around the outside to get a job done for all of your loving fans, who I'm sure will be eagerly watching in that stadium section. Of course, so you can always just wait, come back around through Turn 16 and 17, get a good drive, open up the DRS, and then you've got plenty of time on the run down into Turn 1. You can even have a cup of coffee while you make your way to that first corner. Qualifying will be beginning in not too long, as I am starting to see some of the drivers readying up. And we'll have to see who can take pole in the third to last round of the championship. Third to last? Yes, third to last. Of course, we have USA and Abu Dhabi to complete the rest of season 13. I'm just taking a little look as well through my little notes here, because I've got some nice notes. And I'm just trying to think, you know, who are the drivers that we really need to watch out for? We've got a couple of drivers, you know, who are still yet to claim a victory. One of them is Tomek, who sits in third place in the championship. He's had 2 third-place finishes, but yet to finish second and yet to win a race, which is rather surprising for the Polish driver with the amount of talent that he has. Same can go for Matthias Kologun. 3 second-place finishes, still yet to take a win. Maybe he will be the one to take the champagne away tonight. Josh Idowu, no wins either. He's had 2 second-place finishes, 2 third-place finishes, but recently a P18 at Spa, P15 at Singapore. And Josh definitely can be bringing a little bit more to the plate. We know how talented he is. Nicolas Matteo, 8th in the championship, still yet to secure a podium. So there's a lot of storylines that could be completed tonight at Mexico. And maybe it'll be the return to form of our champion, Jarno Opmeer, who last time out finished P13 in Japan. And it was actually his only time finishing outside of the top 10. No points for the Flying Dutchman. And he's just going to have to, well, try to bring it back, try to pick up some solid points. Another man who has been Mr. Consistent, or he was even back when I was commentating all the way back in season 11 when he won the ORL top split. Bence Sabe Konyi, back then known as a Photon, and I believe he had some ridiculously long streak of something like 13 rounds in a row without dropping out of the podium spots, or 13 rounds in a row without dropping outside of the top 10, which at the time I think it was a record. I'm sure Jarno Opmeer has broken that now, but he's only 3 times finished outside of the top 10. He's had 1 DNF as well, so a total of 4, but it has been consistency once again from the Hungarian, picking up his sole win at his home race at the Hungaroring. And maybe if he can continue that form, maybe he can get another podium, another win to his belt and jump ahead of Tomek, because there are only 4 points separating the pair of them in this battle for third place in the championship. Ruben Vallejo, that first place that he thought he had last time out in Japan, that was removed after, well, while his win was removed, it was penalties removed from Barry, which jumped him ahead of Ruben. And now Ruben will still be searching for that race win. He's had 2 podiums, once at Spain, once at Baku, both of them third place. And I'm sure he'll be wanting to go at least 1 higher tonight. I'm just taking a look as well through some of the entries that we do have for tonight's race. Of course, we have our Hungarian of Bence Sabe Konyi taking part. Barry Boromand, Sven Zerner. We've got Mr. Anker in as well. So quite a few familiar faces, and I'm sure there's plenty more that I haven't got a chance to go through just yet. Simon Weigang might be another driver to keep an eye out on. I haven't checked if he is racing it tonight, but Simon's had 1 P3. That was at Russia 2 races ago. But aside from that, for the German, there have been a lot of retirements, and he needs to pick up the consistency, keep it clean, keep it out of the walls, and get across the line and pick up some points as well, because he's currently languishing all the way down in P11 in the Drivers' Championship. And as I say that, the drivers are getting into a game, so that means one very, and I mean very lucky thing for you viewers, because it means you're no longer going to have to see my ugly mug on stream, and you can see some beautiful, glorious, and glamorous F1 cars out on circuit. And as I say that, why not just show you those beautiful cars? There you go. It was always going to be coming somewhere down the line. Okay then. So who will be first to jump out? Short qualifying, 18 minutes. We're at the 17.5-minute mark, and of course that can cause some issues later in qualifying where we think that the timer has ticked down to 0. But for the drivers, there is sometimes just that little bit more time left. Jarno Opmeer, apparently he's reading up the intermediates. Maybe he thinks there's some rain on the way forecasted here in Mexico. I don't see any rain to be coming because the skies are beautifully blue and I cannot see a single cloud in sight. Both of the McLarens are out, James Baldwin and Tomek Paradish out on a circuit. What can they pull out here at Mexico? And who was the first man out? We see a Haas further up the line. That might be Simon Weigang, and indeed it is. All of the drivers out on soft tyres. We'll have to see if anyone maybe wants to set a banker lap on the soft tyres, come back in, put on a set of mediums and look for the alternate strategy. And of course, when you have the likes of Jarno Opmeer in the lobby, you have to think that the alternate strategy will almost definitely be happening. Or maybe he'll just try to qualify on inters and thinks that he is so fast, he just doesn't even need full tyre contact with the circuit. But we'll have to see what plans the Dutchman has in store for us. As why not, let's ride on board then with Simon Weigang. We'll set one of the first laps here at Mexico. There is a driver slightly further up ahead, but I want to see what the German can pull out. Through the final corner, then take a nice wide line to start your lap so you can be carrying a maximum speed to start your lap. And with probably the longest run into a turn 1 corner of any track on the calendar, that exit speed to turn 17 is so important. Put your brakes 100 meters down into turn 1, little bit of an under rotation on the front right, pull it over to the right and then sweep through the left right chicane, the back end wanting to step out all the way. A Ferrari has come out a little bit ahead. They're going to have to get out of the way nice and snappy unless they want a cheeky little penalty. Another little under rotation coming through from Simon, but that won't really cost him. Anker gets well out of the way as down into turn 6. Really a double right-hander, should be 6 and 7, but it is a hairpin technically. And now into the slalom. This is all about bravery. How much speed can you carry? How close do you dare get to the white lines? Pretty much flat out through the right-left at the end. Through the kink of turn 11 at the end. And now you can brake super duper late for turn 12. Carry a lot of speed, a little bit of understeer for the Haas driver. And now down into turn 13. Keep it nice and slow through 14, 15. And now into 16. We've seen drivers run into the Armco on exit, but not for Simon Weigang. And across the line to set a 1:12.889 here at Mexico. And James smashes not only Simon's times, but Michael Romanidis' time as well. Jump up to provisional pole with a 1:12.626. Currently 3/10 separating everyone. Now, who is on a lap? Lucas UK is on an out lap. Why not? Let's ride on board with Hayes. No, he's actually jumping into the pits. What about Sven Zerner? Because Sven, I think, has been... where is he in the championship? I think he is a fair bit down the order. And a 1:16.7. So Sven aborted that first lap and looking to start a second lap here at Mexico. And let's see how he compares to that lap that we saw from Simon Weigang. Again, seeing that under rotation of the front right tyre through turn 1. But Sven definitely takes a lot more curb through turns 2 and 3. Now down into turn 4, will we see that little under rotation? There we go, coming in again. I don't think it really costs you too much time. You can get away with those little lockups because, you know, at the end of the day, you are pushing the limits. You are just trying to get that car stopped as quickly as possible. Those under rotations do happen. Maybe in the race, you wouldn't want to see it happening as much as it just causes that little bit more tyre wear. But in qualifying, I think it's reasonable to expect a lockup here and there. Anyway, down into turn 12, nice and late on the brakes. And unlike what we saw from Simon Weigang, no hint of that front end washing out into the very fast turn 12, and this looks like a pretty quick lap from the Red Bull driver through the final corner. And what will it be for Sven Zerner? Only P4 at 12.796, so a tenth faster than what Simon Weigang was able to muster. Now Matthijs is on a lap. Comrade Gaming driver will dive on into the pits, so he's clearly not happy. And it also seems like Lucas has put on a set of medium tyres. We were wondering how many drivers would be opting for the alternate strategy. And it looks like Lucas is one of those drivers. The 123.5, I think that was set on a set of softer tyres. So a bit of a banker lap coming through from Lucas. Now, that lap may have been a first lap set on these mediums, but let's see what Lucas can do. We saw a bit of a lock-up into turn 6, but as we previously mentioned, nothing to be overly worried about. Lucas trying to carry a lot of speed, but unlike those soft tyre runners, he's having to give a little bit more of a lift, just being a little bit more careful through the S's. Now down into turn 12, take all of that curb, beautifully done by Lucas, and he's going to be hoping to get down into the low 13s, but not when you run wide through turn 13. Will you be able to get a nice quick lap? And Lucas UK is clearly not happy. He's going to dive on into the pits. Now, our race winner from last time out in Japan, our race winner from Singapore, that wet race, changeable conditions which seem to catch so many drivers out. Barry is on a cool-down lap or an out lap, and he's got McLaren fast approaching him. Is that James behind him? It is indeed. And I hope James wasn't on a hot lap for Barry's sake. And, well, if James is about to start a lap, which I think he is because the graphic does say that he is on an out lap, he needs to give himself a bit of room. Otherwise, he might be finding himself in the dirty air of the Mercedes up ahead. Let's ride aboard then with Velocity James, who currently sits in provisional pole with the 1:12.626. Will be looking to improve on his time. Can anyone make it into the 12.5s or the 12.4s? Would be impressive. Again, that under rotation on the front right. James doesn't get the best of lines into 2, but it doesn't matter. Barry up ahead loses the back end. And while that might phase James Baldwin just for a split second, I'm sure his concentration will be right back on the track as he actually backs out of the lap. So maybe that moment from Barry in front of him just cost him a bit of time on exit. Either way, James not happy with his lap, and he's going to board that. Probably will bring it into the pits. Maybe he could go for a second lap, but then you run the risk of starting the race on tyres that have essentially done 1.5 flying laps, which is not what you would really want. Now, Nicholas Matteo is on a lap in the Alfa Romeo. Don't forget, Alfa Romeo have won the Constructors' Championship as Simon Weigang puts in a 1:12.4. We said Simon needed to up the pace, but it hasn't been a case of Simon not showing pace. It's been a case of Simon not being consistent, as we see Nicholas corner cutting through the S's. But Simon, we've seen a lot of retirements from him, so hopefully he can keep it clean and he can pump in those laps during the race to take home his first win of the season. Remember, Simon, he's only had that P3 in Russia, the only time he stepped on the podium. Where is James Baldwin? Right, James Baldwin has started another lap. Jarno Opmeer still in the pits. He's got a set of softer tyres primed and ready to go. Again, will we see that little lock-up into a turn 4? Yes, we do. It's almost something comforting to know. It's like a good luck charm to know that you're pressing the brakes enough. You're getting enough energy into those front brake discs and getting that car properly slowed down. Now down into the S's. Take as much curb as you can. James running a little bit wider into the S at the back end, stepping out. Great catcher from James, but I have a feeling that would have cost him a little bit of time. Maybe 1/10, maybe 2/10. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe he'll go provisional pole into the hairpin. James definitely hasn't backed out of the lap, so he definitely thinks he can still improve. James currently down to P3 through turn 16, nice and easy on the power. And, well, James dives it on into the pits. Mr. Anchor is not on a lap, but the man who is starting a lap is this guy right here, Hayes, also known as Matthias Collegon, currently down in P20. Now we know Matthias has a lot of pace, currently 5th in the championship. He's finished 2nd 3 times this season. Can he go one better and take his first win of ORL season 13? Well, a good start to that campaign would be taking provisional pole with 7 minutes on the clock here in Mexico. Looks fairly clean through Sector 1, but this is where you can gain so much time into the S's, carries so much speed, almost runs wide. Was that an invalidation? I think through the left-hander, it definitely was, and there was a little bit of a lift as well. So Hayes will well and truly back out of that lap. Now, we saw Matthijs. I think it's Matthijs. We saw Matthijs having to abort a lap as that is Bianca Lila going P4 under the online name of White Lilac for tonight's race. Michael Romanidis up in P2. Currently seeing, well, about 2/10 separating the top 5 is a McLaren P5 at P6 right now. And don't forget, McLaren in that Constructors' Championship need to get a good result to stay ahead of Ferrari. Sven Noller and Mr. Anker, though, at the moment all the way down in P8 and P12. Is Matthijs coming into the pits? Yes, I think he is. Why not? Right on board with our current ORL champion, Jarno Opmeer. P13 last time out in Japan, and he definitely wants to be putting that race behind him and just focusing on the Mexican Grand Prix right in front of him. And right in front of him right now is a turn 6. Again, that under rotation on the front right tire, nice and patient on the exit, use up all of the track. Now into the S's. Takes a juicy little bit of curb through the left, through the right, through the left, flat out that back end, stepping a little left just to keep the back end under control, and flat out through the rest of the S's. Now turn 12, nice and late on the brakes, using up all of the track. Ruben Vallejo gets well out of the way. Jarno pulls it all the way over to the right into turn 14, beautifully kisses the apex, takes all of the curb through 15, and now through 16 and 17. Line, shortest line, and that's a 1:12.2. And ladies and gentlemen, it is well and truly Jarno Opmeer back at it. What a lap from the Dutchman. We also missed Barry Borremand going to provisional pole, but that was quickly beaten by Jarno. And now we've got probably one of the biggest gaps we've seen at the top end, which is 2/10 separating the top 3, 3/10 separating the top 4. Some very, very quick laps coming in. And Jarno should have enough time to get back to the pits, put on a fresh set of boots, and set another lap. Nicholas Matteo, he's aborting his lap. He's clearly not happy. Ruben Vallejo, we saw him pulling out of the way of Jarno Opmeer not too long ago. James Baldwin is on a lap and is making his way down towards the turn 1, currently on a 1:12.6. There definitely has to be more time in the lap for the McLaren driver. Take as much curb as you dare through turns 2 and 3. No invalidation because James is still pushing. You can see on the bottom of your screen he's in Mo2 ERS, which is generally a good indicator that the driver is still pushing on their lap. Through 4 and 5, nice and calm, and now into turn 6, gets a nice late apex to get on the power a little bit earlier. We saw Jarno taking a more orthodox approach to the corner, and now into a turn 7, carry as much speed as you dare. Pull it all the way over to the left. I think that might have been an invalidation, and James might get a little toe from Simon. No, he opts against it, pulls the car over to the left as he makes his way into turn 12. This is the apex just by a bit. You can take a little bit more curb, but he gets the curb beautifully for turn 14, through turn 15 and into 16. And the shortest line, the shortest line to the start-finish line is technically through the pits. But James jumps into the pits. He's got time for one more lap, but that's twice we've been riding on board with James Baldwin, and he's had to abort his lap. Maybe it's the old commentator curse coming through. So I think next time, for James Baldwin's sake, I will not spectate his lap, so he can do it under no pressure whatsoever, and he can put out a banger of a lap. Someone we haven't ridden on board with is Thyman, the Visceral Racing driver, currently sitting in P11 with a 1:12.9. Only 14 drivers have done laps, and this is actually throwing me back a little bit right now, all the way back to season 11. I think it was season 11 or season 10 of the online racing league, which was actually where Photon had just won the championship, had secured the championship, and both him and Danny Berezhny decided to have some fun, let's say, and they started at the back of the grid. They went, I think, Danny Berezhny went for the hard tyres, and Photon, or as he is known currently, Bent Sabe-Koni, went for the medium tyres to start the race, and they had an absolute banger of a race. I think they ended up finishing first and third. It was Danny Berezhny who took the win, but it was pretty crazy. So I'm just wondering, maybe our bottom five from Kasper Janssen all the way down to Matthias Collegon in the Mercedes are opting for something similar, going for that alternate strategy. But then again, if you're going for that, you might as well just try to qualify something somewhere like P11, P12. Lucas is on a lap. Again, that under rotation of the front right into turn one. We'll have to keep an eye on whether that happened in the race. Something else to remember, sometimes those under rotations, those lockups. Oh, beautiful little slipstream from Lucas's teammate Simon Weigang down into turn four. You'd rather have the slipstream into turn one, but it is much harder to orchestrate between teammates, because usually when one driver's on the hot lap, the other one's on the out lap to give that slipstream. If you try to do it on the start-finish, one driver's finishing their hot lap and the other one's starting, so things can get a little bit more difficult. And Lucas, he's going to abort the lap. Didn't quite get the run through turn 7 and 8 done perfectly. And that's his qualifying over and done. He's going to pull over, maybe save some ERS. He could go for one more run potentially. Pass driver currently down in P12. Barry Borroman, is he on a lap? I think he is. ERS in Simbo 2. There's a yellow flag up ahead, but that won't be phasing Barry one jot. 800ths quicker is Barry through sector 1, now down into turn 6. Nice late apex. More of a late apex than what we saw from Jarno Otmir, who's still in the pits. He's confident to that 112.2. He'll at least get him, you know, a top 3 position as Barry. Look at that rear end through turns 9 and 10, but Barry keeps it in check. So much faith. 1.5 tenths up at the end of sector 2. This surely is a lap worthy of a pole. Nice and patient through turns 13, 14 and 15 into 16. Get on the power, squeeze it on, and now the shortest line. What will it be? A 1:12.236. Barry Borroman takes provisional pole by 0.02 of a second. Simon Weigang is 600ths slower on the exit of sector 1. What will it be on the exit of sector 2? The checkpoint is just before turn 12. He's 300ths up, but that is not going to be anywhere near enough unless he can find over a 10th in this final sector of the circuit. It's definitely good, but is it majestically good? We'll find out in a moment. A little bit of a moment with the rear end across the line. 1:12.466, not enough to improve. Michael Romanidis, he's aborted his lap. Tomek Poradis, I can never pronounce that surname. I'm just going to say Tomek from now on, otherwise I'm going to continue to make a fool of myself. Daniela Haddad in the final part of the circuit. Can he improve? Currently in T6. James Baldwin has not improved. Well, he has. He's at 12.575. Daniela Haddad, 300ths off his lap. Thyman is 1/10 up. Where will he go? P10. And that is probably the worst place that he could have wanted to finish. Nicolas Mateo goes at P13. And I think Thyman might actually regret setting that final lap, because he would have been starting, what, P12, P11? Sorry, P12, P13, which would have meant he'd have fresher choice of tyres for the race, which you'd have to think, for the cost of a couple of positions down the order, that would probably have been a good outcome for the Visceral Racing driver. Either way, he'll be starting P10. We'll have to see what he can pull out. So, your qualifying results are Barry Borroman. Thank you, Gabe, for removing the leaderboard right when I wanted to take a look and let our viewers know what the standings would be. Either way, they'll bring it back up. There we go. Barry Borroman takes pole ahead of Jarno Otmir. Simon Weigang with a fantastic third place. he's going to be looking to make amends for some of his, well, poor performances of late. Michael Romanidis takes P4. Tomek in P5 ahead of Daniela Haddad. James Baldwin in P7 ahead of Bianca Lila in P8. Sven Zerner takes P9 ahead of Thyman's late lap, which knocked him up into the top 10. And the top 10 separated by just 0.4 of a second. And if you want to ignore the GOATs that are Barry Boromand and Jarno Opmeer, it was only 0.2 separating P3 all the way down to P10. Let us know in the chat who you think will be taking the top spot in the race. Whether you think Jarno Opmeer can do it from P2. Can Barry Boromand make it 4 podiums in a row, 3 wins in his last 4 races? And out of all drivers, we talked about it in the pre-show, Barry Boromand has the best form of every single driver right now. It has been an impressive feat over the last few races. And he finds himself starting ahead of the season 13 champion and the season 12 champion of Jarno Opmeer. But race day is an entirely different scenario altogether. Tyre wear, consistency, strategy, all such a major influence in how a race will pan out. Jarno Opmeer not on his favoured, let's say, alternate strategy, or at least every time I tune in, whether that be in the online racing league or F1 esports, it always seems that Jarno Opmeer is on that alternate strategy, and he always makes it work as well, somehow, miraculously. But this time, he's on those soft tyres. So, as the drivers get away on their formation lap, let's run you guys through the grid order. Barry Boromand lines up in pole position ahead of Jarno Opmeer. Simon Weigang in the Haas lines up in 3rd ahead of the Williams of Michael Romanidis. Tomek lines up in P5 ahead of Daniela Haddad. The second McLaren of James Baldwin is in P7 ahead of Bianca Lila in P8. And the Red Bull of Sven Zerner in P9. Thyman completes the top at 10 for Renault. Lucas UK in the second Haas, he's down in P11. And I think Lucas definitely had more pace in qualifying, but just wasn't able to string that lap together. So let's see if he can make amends in the race. Sven Noller in P12, ahead of Nicolas Matteo in P13. Bence Sabe Konyi is in P14. I'm sure he's going to be telling me off for my botched up pronunciation of his name. Mr. Anker in P15. Ruben Vallejo in P16. Ahead of Matthias Collegon in P17. He can definitely climb up the order from that starting position. Kasper Janssen in P18. Ahead of Dominic Hoffman and Matthijs completing the grid for Red Bull. Let's take a quick look then at the strategies. Of course, all of the top 10 starting on the soft tyres. Lucas opting for the hard tyres, as does Matthias Collegon. The rest of the field start on the medium compound of tyres. So keep an eye out, especially for Lucas and Hayes, on those opening couple of laps, because they will be dropping down the order, you'd assume, with those harder tyres. Slightly harder to get the temperature into the white-walled rubber. But for the race start, our eyes will be firmly fixated on Barry Boromand and Jarno Opmeer. It's a very, very long run down into turn 1, and the start is key. 5 red lights, lights out, and away we go at Mexico. It is a fantastic start from Barry Boromand, but just as I say that, Jarno gets an even better start as he runs side by side now down into a turn 1. Mercedes versus Alfa Romeo. Barry Boromand holds it round the outside, on the inside for turn 2. But keep an eye for Jarno Opmeer, because he's going to be looking for the slingshot on exit. He gets the drive, but is it enough? Closing in with the slipstream, but Jarno Opmeer will have to hold on to P2 for now. Simon Weigang holds on to P3 as that's the McLaren going down the inside, side by side with the racing point of Daniel Haddad. Tomek is up to P5, and now White Lilac is going to be having a little cheeky look at Daniel Haddad as well as they make their way into the Mexican S's. We're also seeing Matthias Colligan down to P18. Lucas UK down to P12. He's lost a position off the start. So the hard tyre runners not having a great getaway. Nicolas Mateo was the one who took advantage of Lucas's hard tyres. James Baldwin also not having the best of starts. He's dropped down to P9 for McLaren. Remember, it's McLaren versus Ferrari versus Williams in the Constructors' Championship. While Lilac is actually getting not too bad of a drive, but Daniel Haddad has a slipstream from Tomek up ahead. But it is still Jarno Opmeer who'll be looking to hunt down Barry Boromand at the front of the grid. Barry has that gap out to 0.6 of a second. He'll be looking to pull it over 1 second, try to break that DRS before it is enabled, and before, crucially, Jarno Opmeer has a chance to strike back. That being said though, the more these guys fight, the worse it gets for them, with runners like Nicolas Mateo and Lucas UK on the medium and the hard tyres respectively. They're going to be super strong come the end of the race. Taking a look at Dominic Hoffman as up ahead. That's Sven Noller getting very close to the Haas of Lucas UK on those hard tyres. And crucially for Lucas, it's all a game right now of how long can he keep these guys behind him, how long can he stay out on those hard tyres until you get to that crossover point where the mediums start to lose their grip and start to get that little bit slower. And right now, here comes Sven Noller. He's got the slipstream, no DRS just yet because we've only just started lap 3. Sven Noller getting very close, but not quite close enough. As up ahead, there's been a bit of a switch around. Sven Zerner has jumped ahead of White Lilac. Can White Lilac come back? He's got the DRS. He's going to have a little look round the outside, down into a turn of 4. Oh, that's a beautiful switchback, but there's been a little bit of front wing loss. Whose fault that was, I'm not too sure. And now down the inside goes James Baldwin up into P8, and White Lilac is just going to be struggling with that front wing damage. There's contact with Lyman as well as White Lilac is dropping down the order. He's surely going to be hitting at the end of this lap for a set of medium or hard tyres as Mr. Anker picks up our first time penalty of the race. And are you also seeing in the background Nicolas Mateo going down the inside of Bianca Lila as well. And ladies and gentlemen, we have only just started lap 4 of the race. Simon Weigang is actually closing in onto Jarno Opmeer, but Jarno still has a DRS from Barry Boromand as Bianca Lila has decided to hang up the racing gloves. He's had enough after that collision with Sven Zerner. He looked to have got a great cutback. I would love to see a replay of that, unfortunately though. I can't get my wish granted just yet. I'll have to take a look at the broadcast afterwards to see what exactly happened. I'm sure the stewards are looking at that as well to work out who is to blame or whether that is a racing incident. Lucas UK just been overtaken by Ruben Vallejo. Lucas is starting to struggle just a little bit now on those hards. Dominic Hoffman will be the next man looking to find a way past the Haas driver. Matthias Colligan all the way down in P17. He was the other driver who started on those hard tyres. And surely it's a case of if, not when, for Dominic Hoffman. Lucas UK has a DRS in that second of the 3 DRS zone, or in the third of the 3 DRS zones here at Mexico. And the DRS train goes all the way down to Thyman in P9. Nobody has broken out of that 1 second zone just yet. Lucas has a DRS from Ruben, and that's going to help him massively in defending from Dominic Hoffman. I think Dominic makes the smart choice just to save up his DRS for now. Just charge him back up and have a go a little bit later, maybe when Lucas makes a mistake. But at the moment, it actually seems like Ruben Vallejo up ahead is a man making mistakes. But here comes Dominic Hoffman. He's getting very close on the run down into turn 4. The Racing Point will go down the inside. I think they make a little bit of contact. And now on the switchback, we talked about going down the inside into turn 6. And Dominic Hoffman has his nose chopped off in front of him. And Lucas has every right to take the racing line. And that's exactly what he does. And he tells Dominic, if you want to get past me, and you want to go for a dive bomb, make sure you get alongside me first, mate. This battle is definitely going to be raging on for a few more laps. And if Ruben Vallejo can't break that 1 second gap there to Lucas, then Dominic Hoffman is going to be having his work cut out trying to get past the Haas driver. Ruben Vallejo picks up a 3 second time penalty. Let's take a look then. ERS is about 50% for Dominic Hoffman. What about for Lucas? It's actually pretty low, looking at about 20% or so. Not the best of runs through turn 3 from Dominic Hoffman. Not going to be able to find a way past this time round. Werner picks up a 3 second time penalty. Lap 6 of 36 for those of you joining us. This is round 20 of the online racing league split A. And Dominic Hoffman is still trying to find a way past Lucas. And crucially, Lucas is now over a second behind Ruben Vallejo. So next time round, surely Dominic will find a way past the Haas driver. And Mr. Anker closing in onto this battle as well. Does Lucas have anything to answer for the attack that is about to come from the Racing Point driver? Here we go then, onto the start-finish straight. Rear wing open, DRS activated. And Lucas UK will not even go defensive. Dominic Hoffman sweeps past the Haas driver and up into P13. Don't forget, Lucas and Hayes are both started on those hard tyres. This race will come to them with time. We're not expecting them to be quick in the opening stages of the race. It'll be towards the end when they have those fresher mediums or maybe even fresh soft tyres that will really see them come alive. I do believe here at Mexico is a two-stop strategy for everyone starting on the softs. Start the mediums and hard. You could go medium, hard, or hard to mediums. Maybe start the softs. You could try to go for a soft, hard, but two-stop strategy may be slightly better. Safety cars could also come into play. But for now, everything has remained fairly clean. The only real incident we've seen was with Bianca Lila, who was battling, as we've got a bit of a battle about to occur as Tomic dived into the pits. So Tomic is the first of the soft runners to make the call to switch tyres. He's put on a set of medium tyres. Now the question is, where will he feed out? But forget about that for now, because Sven Zerner has not had the cleanest of runs through the first complex of corners. Daniela Haddad just a little bit too far back to have a go. Now Tomek, he's fed out P17, 5.5 seconds behind Matthias Kologon. So as far as strategies go, Tomek is hands and fists. I think that's a wrong expression, but he is essentially well ahead of Matthias Kologon in strategy alone, because he will be getting past Matthias Kologon without too many issues. Okay, Sven Zerner is now over a second behind Michael Romanidis, as that's a 3 second time penalty for Lucas. But with Sven Zerner over a second behind Michael, he's not going to be getting that DRS on the start finish straight at that. It's going to be making him a little bit of a target for the Racing Point. We saw Daniela Haddad's teammate Dominic Hoffman pass the Haas of Lucas UK only 1 lap ago, as that is a penalty going the way of Barry Boromand, as 3 more drivers hop on into the pits. But here we go. Just a little bit too far back though from Daniela Haddad to have a look on Nicolas Matteo this time around. Now, where does Barry Boromand come out? He's going to feed out of the pits, and Tomek has jumped ahead of the Mercedes driver with the undercut. So Tomek has nailed the strategy. He got the perfect lap to bit, and he got the perfect outlap as well. As, oh no, what has happened? Let's ride on board with Matisse and see if we can catch a glimpse of what might have happened to Matthias Kologon's car. Was it on the exit of turn 16 and 17? I don't see a car anywhere. Matthijs hasn't passed. Yep, so it was in the pits, I think. So not quite sure what has happened to Matthias Kologon, but there he is. He came into the pits, and I'm guessing came into the pits to retire, but the game has spat him back out. There's a beautiful little ghost. A friendly ghost, though. Not an evil ghost. 3 more drivers into the pits. Jarno Opmeer, Simon Weigang, and Michael Romanidis hop on in. Will they opt for the mediums? Will they opt for the hard tyres? It looks like it's going to be mediums for all 3. So only James Baldwin has opted for the hard tyres. We'll see whether that strategy pays off for him or not. Jarno Opmeer has come out of the pits behind Barry Boromand. So he hasn't lost any time with that overcut. It's Tomek who has gained, but Tomek is now under heavy pressure from Barry and Jarno Opmeer. Then there's almost a 2-second gap to Simon Weigang behind. And I have a feeling that Barry Boromand is going to make quick work of Tomek. I do feel that the Mercedes is the quicker driver. The question, though, is when Barry gets past, how long will it take for Jarno Opmeer to find a way past the McLaren driver? And that could be key in determining whether Barry Boromand can pull over a second to Jarno Opmeer and stop Jarno from sticking in that ERS frame. Because you can see on Jarno's ERS bar, he's got a lot of ERS available. For Barry Boromand, he's a little bit lower because he's been having to use his ERS in the previous laps to defend. But Barry, he's not going to use up all of his ERS on exit. He's going to save up some ERS. As Simon does a new fast lap of the race. All drivers diving on into the pits. Only Daniela Haddad is out on those soft tyres right now. So you see Jarno Opmeer just poking, just having a little peep. Just having a little look at the inside of Barry, just testing the waters. Just before you dive into that swimming pool, just dipping a little toe in, checking, okay, that water's nice and warm. I'm ready to jump in, or maybe it's a little bit too cold. And Jarno Opmeer will wait for the water to heat up before plunging right on in. How long does Daniela Haddad plan to go on those soft tyres as well? Surely he's looking to do the one-stop strategy and put on a set of hard tyres when he does come into the pits. But Nicolas Matteo is only 2.5 seconds behind Daniela Haddad. He is closing slowly but surely. Matthias Kologon has left the session. But the top 3, or what is the effective top 3, is now becoming an effective top 6 because this group goes all the way down to James Baldwin in P15, and James Baldwin is on the hard tyres. Daniel Haddad has pitted. He's put on a set of hard tyres as well. But here we go, Barry Boromand down the inside of Tomek. Sweeps her past, nice and easy. And now the key for Barry, does he want to stop Jarno Opmeer from getting past Tomek? And he can do that by just giving DRS to the McLaren driver behind and making it super difficult for Jarno. Or he can try to push off into the distance and break that 1 second gap himself. And then once he's broken the 1 second gap, it's all just about pure pace. Who is quicker? Can Jarno close back into that 1 second gap or not? Lucas picks up a 3-second time penalty. Don't forget, Lucas on those hard tyres, he's now in P5. Not effective P5 as all of the top 7 still have the pits, including Ben Sabe-Konyi, who didn't have the best of qualifying sessions, qualified somewhere down in P16. something like that. But look at that train of cars that goes all the way from Barry down to Sven Zerner in P14, and I think James Baldwin is also in that train, just out of your shot though. So Barry Burman has pulled over half a second to Tomek, but the question is, can Tomek fight back? And I don't think it's whether Tomek can fight back, it's whether Jarno can fight back. Tomek will go a little bit defensive, he moves over a bit more. Jarno looks off for the outside, down into turn one. Will there be space? Well, he'll make space as he dives it down the inside into two. Tomek's not done it yet. Inside for three, but now Jarno Otmir will have the exit, will have the DRS, will have the slipstream on Tomek down into turn four. Tomek goes defensive, but Jarno finds a gap nonetheless. Into turn four, side by side, there's a little bit of contact. Jarno goes a little bit sideways, but it is all clean for now. Tough but fair defending from Tomek, and Tomek holds on to P9, and this is all working into the hands of Barry Borroman absolutely brilliantly. Next time round though, Tomek will be that little bit further from Barry. We'll be getting that little bit less slipstream from the Mercedes. And Barry has to know, now is his time to push. He has to push. He has to break that 1 second gap as quickly as he can. And crucially for Barry, he's almost within a second of the AlphaTauri of Ben Sabe Konyi up ahead. And that is huge as well, as Dominic Hoffman dives into the pits from medium, the first of the medium tyre runners to pit on lap 13. But here comes Jarno Otmir once again. Will look to the inside, and this time, surely he's got the job done on the McLaren driver, and indeed he has. It took him a good couple of goes to get the job to work, but eventually he makes his way up into effective second position. Crucially for Jarno Otmir, Barry Borroman is still within striking distance, and he might strike now. No, just a little bit too far as the Alfa Romeo driver. But Barry will surely be feeling the pressure. It's all a case, or it's deja vu once again. We saw Barry ahead of Jarno Otmir previously in this race all throughout the first stint, and Barry was able to keep the Alfa Romeo driver behind. And now in the second stint, it's the same once again. Tomek went for the undercut. He got the undercut to work, but he just has not had the pace to keep either the Mercedes or the Alfa Romeo driver behind him. Just have a quick comparison of ERS. Jarno Otmir pretty low, probably about 20%. Barry Borroman much higher. Anker will dive into the pits, and surely this will be Barry Borroman jumping up into P5. The RS look is available for Ben Sabe Konyi because we had Mr. Anker just ahead in that DRS detection point. Here we go though, Barry just a little bit too far behind us. That is, I think I saw someone coming out of the pits now. I think it was just Sven Zerner taking a very defensive line. And actually running side by side. Oh, there's contact! And Simon will tap the wall. I don't think he got any wing damage, but Sven Zerner will not be happy with that one. We just caught the aftermath of the incident. They were running side by side through turn one as well. And it is the Red Bull who comes out worse for wear. Michael Romanidis at the back of this group that stretches all the way up to P4. And here we go, Jarno Otmir going down the inside of Ben Sabe Konyi. He'll get the job done as well, not giving Barry Borroman a chance to pull away. The gap is almost a second, and that's Tomek following Jarno's example down the inside, and I think it was a three side by side almost into the final corner. Oh, that's surely going to end in disaster. Someone jumps into the pits, that's going to be Ben Sabe Konyi, but here we go, Michael Romanidis will fly past Simon Weigang, or will he? No, he won't. He's going to have to slot in behind now. Looks for the outside down into turn one. They both have a DRS, and Simon Weigang will slam the door shut. They may be just running a little bit wide on exit. Simon has a DRS from Tomek up ahead, but he won't for long because the gap between P4 and P5 is now 1.5 seconds. Jarno Otmir, half a second behind Lucas, who is splitting these two rivals who have been pretty close all race long. Lucas on those hard tyres and we assume looking to do the one-stop strategy. How long can he stay out? Maybe like 20, maybe 21. He can look to pit for those medium tyres and go to the end. We saw the medium tyre runners do about 13 laps. And if you're going on those mediums at the end of the race, you can probably eke out another lap. You don't have to start the race on those tyres. And lighter fuel load as well. But here comes Jarno Opmeer once again. Barry Boroman is now 1.2 seconds clear. Jarno Opmeer tries to pass the Haas. Will he get DRS from Barry on that second straight? And I think the answer is no. So a bit of a lock-up in the background. I think that was from Michael Romanidis. And Jarno Opmeer has got DRS. That is crucial, that is pivotal. Tomek Paradis will go down the inside. He's at contact. Almost as Lucas just slams the door shut in Tomek's face. And I'm sure Tomek will not be appreciative of that at all. I'm sure Tomek's thinking that they're on different strategies, but Lucas says, nope, I'm keeping you behind for as long as I can, so that when lap 20 comes round and I pit for those medium tyres, you are still behind me, and then we can have a drag to the race on, well, probably Lucas's second stint, but everyone else is at third stint. And that's a big, big dive coming through from Tomek. He's going to run wide, but he holds on to the position nonetheless. Does that count as overtaking off circuit? That's going to be another one for the stewards to look at. But Lucas will be able to get the drive on the exit of the final corner. Surely he'll have DRS, he'll have slipstream, but look at that DRS bar on the steering wheel. He has absolutely nothing left. Can Tomek defend? Tomek has no ERS. And now the other half of Simon Weigang looking to join in the fight. Tomek tries to defend, but that's super late. Simon switches from the inside to the outside, but cannot find a way through. Lucas holds on to B3. Fantastic defending, fantastic racing all round. And kudos to all drivers for keeping it clean. Some aggressive defending from Tomek for sure in this Mexican Grand Prix. Meanwhile, while all of this unfolds, Michael Romanidis is watching eagerly, waiting for an opportunity to strike. This is the battle for P3. Barry Boroman and Jarno Opmeer, they have flown into the distance. 3 seconds clear of this group. Tomek would have been with them, but he just could not find a way past Lucas UK. Simon's only 1.1 seconds, that's Tomek going down the inside, and this time he squeezes Lucas wide. Lucas will not be appreciative of that, but again, Lucas will have DRS onto the start-finish straight. Lucas will have the advantage and the possibility to reclaim P3. Simon Weigang not too far behind either. Will this be deja vu? I think it might be. Lucas approaching on the run into turn 1. Tomek will go defensive. Lucas goes to the outside. Simon watching this unfold. Tomek slams the door shut. Lucas once again holds on to P3. Does Tomek get the run though through turn 3? Well, it doesn't really matter because he's got Simon all over his tail, and now Simon, oh, that's a good move from Simon around the outside of turn 4. He's got the inside 4-5 as well. He goes over the curb, can't find the traction, and he has to settle for P5. Absolutely riveting stuff from the Haas and the McLaren driver. Very, very robust defending from everyone involved. Now, this is usually where Tomek gets a good drive on Lucas, but due to having to defend from Simon, he is now behind. But is this a blessing in disguise for the young Polish driver? Because now he will have DRS on the start-finish straight. Lucas outbreaks himself, a little lock-up into the hairpin. As Tomek has a bit of a moment with the rear end. This is Tomek's chance. He will have a DRS. He's got a little bit of DRS available. More so than Lucas UK. Here we go, on the start-finish straight. This time, the roles are reversed, but Simon Weigang is close again. Tomek goes down the inside. Surely Simon Weigang will follow Lucas through. Indeed he will. Can he have a look down the inside? Michael's having a little look as well at Lucas UK, and I think he might even be able to get the move done. No, he can't. He'll be able to get a good exit out of turn 4, but not enough to slide alongside, or maybe he will down the inside into turn 4. Michael Romanidis gets the job done, and he essentially says, Tomek, what was your issue? That was an easy move, mate. But Simon Weigang now up to P4. Tomek up to P3. And can Tomek pull away? It looks like he can. He is absolutely flying. He's the Polish driver. But is it enough? Maybe Simon can have a look down into turn 1. Here we go then. Simon closing in on the McLaren. Tomek will be used to having a Haas approaching down into turn 1. Oh, there's a bit of contact. Tomek, can he hold it down the inside? No, he cannot. Simon Weigang moves up to P3. And Tomek won't be able to find the exit on turn 3. Simon has a DRS as well. And now Michael Romanidis just a little bit too far back to take advantage of this little squabble between Haas and McLaren. The gap between Barry Boromand and Jarno Otmir starting to close as well. It was about 6/10 before it had dropped to 3/10, but I have a feeling that Jarno Otmir, actually let's just ride on board with Jarno. He's got half his DRS bar. Barry Boromand about 40%. And I think Barry and Jarno Otmir, they both know they just need to work together, just pull away from these guys behind, and then once they get to lap 30 or something, then they can start battling. But for now, Tomek's going to dive into the pits, a lap at 22 over 36. Lucas has already pitted. Okay, so I'm very intrigued now to see where Lucas will come out relative to Tomek. Because Lucas has pulled off the undercut, and now he will be on the same strategy as Tomek. Can he get some DRS as well? The answer is no. There's a Tomek. And I think he's just a little bit too far ahead. So Lucas just dropped too far back on those hard tyres. As we've just missed James finding a way past Sven Noller. James moves up to P5 at 2 seconds behind those two cars. The corner of your shot, Simon Weigang and Michael Romanidis. Remember, all of the top 12 still have to pit. Well, at least all of the drivers on medium, so I think all of the top 7 have to pit. I think the likes of Daniela Haddad and Nicolas Matteo, they might be going to the end, but they will have some very, very worn rubber on those final couple of laps. Right, Tomek really closing in on Mr. Anker. And surely he'll sweep past down into turn 12, and indeed he does. Sven Noller closing in on the other McLaren of James Baldwin. James won't go defensive. Sven dives down the inside and takes a position. Nice and straightforward. Textbook move. At least it isn't DRS textbook anyway. Also seeing Lucas closing in on Ben Chabo Konyi. I'm really going to have to ask him how to pronounce his name, but Lucas down the inside gets the job done. Nice and easy. Better traction on those medium tyres. And job is a good one. So when Simon Weigang and Michael Romanidis pit, we'll have to see where they come out relative to the likes of Tomek and Lucas. Don't forget they could also opt for the softer tyres, especially if they can take these mediums to about lap 28. Maybe even lap 26 they could then risk a pit for the softs, but I think they're going to pit in 1 or 2 laps on all those mediums. Riding forward with Michael Romanidis, half a second behind Simon Weigang. Again, just that little bit too far back. Still seeing those lockups into turn 1. And it might just be a bit of a game bug, let's say. I know it was a thing back in F1 2019, especially when you were on wet tyres, that it would always look like the drivers were locking up when they weren't. As Lucas has just overtaken Mr. Anker, happened into turn 1. The Racing Point's having a decent drive. Daniela Haddad and Dominic Hoffman in P8 and 9. They're closing in onto Simon, but they are on completely different strategies. Oh, and that's a corner cut coming through from Simon, and it actually will mean Dominic Hoffman jumps ahead as well. And indeed he does, as the time penalties are coming through thick and fast. Ooh, and that's Nicholas Matteo. That's a puncture. That's a left rear puncture. You can see the deflation. So Simon, 14 laps on the mediums. Was it too much? And I don't think it would have been a puncture for... Yeah, that is definitely a left rear puncture, and he speeds into the pit lane as well. So how has he got that? I don't think you get punctures for contact with the driver, so that's just tyre wear. So you have to wonder now, for the likes of Barry Boromanda and Jarno Otmir, and Simon Weigang and Michael Romanidis, who have done now the same number of laps as Simon did, will they possibly be seeing a puncture? You have to think that their race engineers will be telling them, just be careful on those tyres. We've just seen Simon pick up a puncture. Will this be almost a repeat of IRL Silverstone 2020? Sure, it's not last lap, but it would still be late drama nonetheless. I think the top 4 are all trying to go for softs to the end. Sven Noller will be pitting in a lap or 2 for a new set of softs to go to the end. And the likes of James Baldwin and Daniela Haddad, I am assuming, are trying to go to the end on those hard tyres. Was it the right strategy? Who knows? Barry Boromanda dives on into the pits. He's had enough of those mediums. He's had enough of Jarno Otmir sitting on his tail end. He comes out just ahead of Michael Romanidis. That will cost Michael about half a second, maybe a few tenths. Soft tyres going on to the Williams as well. Now the question is, this is the moment of truth. As actually, just before we go back to this, I want to take a look at Dominic Hoffman, because on those medium tyres, he's really closing in onto Daniela Haddad. Can he make these mediums go to the end? Daniela Haddad will go defensive. Around the outside goes Dominic Hoffman, and he gets the job done nice and easily. Daniela Haddad not putting up too much of a defense. Now I think Dominic Hoffman's going to have to pit in a few laps. He could try to do 21 laps, but I think that's too much of a stretch. And if we saw Simon picking up a puncture after 15 laps, Dominic Hoffman's going to be in real danger territory. So I think it's going to be another 2 laps and then a set of soft tyres to the end for the Racing Point driver. But back to this man, potentially the star of the show. Barry Boromanda has come out behind Tomek Paradis. So, despite being about 5 seconds ahead, and that is nice. That is very nice from Tomek. He lets Barry through. He knows that they're on differing strategy. He doesn't want to overfight the position. And Jarno Otmir is into the pits. There's been a 5-second time penalty for a severe collision. I think that was Sven Noller. But where is Jarno Otmir? He's coming out of the pits, and he'll come out behind Tomek as well. And this is fantastic news for Barry Boromand. Does he have the possibility of pulling over a second from Tomek? He's on fresh softs compared to Tomek's 4-lap old mediums. Surely he can pull over a second in the remainder of the lap. He needs to get over a second from Jarno, because otherwise Jarno, with those 1-lap fresher tyres, will have that slight advantage, and you have to think Jarno will be able to pull off something magical in the final few laps. Sven Noller having a look down the inside of Simon Weigang. They're running side by side into turn 5. Sven Noller will find the cutback, but he just can't get alongside Simon into turn 6. Mr. Anker in P10, and it's looking like McLaren will secure P3 in the Constructors. Simon not having a good run, really seeming to struggle. Does Simon have front wing damage? Either way, he has DRS, and it will mean Sven cannot find a way past as James Baldwin dives into the pits. So those hard tyres, that strategy was not the right call from the McLaren driver. Barry Borroman sets a new fastest lap of the race. But here comes Simon Weigang. Jarno Opmeer has passed Tomek, but we're focusing on this battle for P10. Simon sweeps past. What can Sven Noller do? As in the background, James Baldwin will feed out right into the chaos. Sven Noller looking down the inside of Mr. Anker, gets the job done and up into P10. But that P10 will, I'm sure, be short-lived because of this man, James Baldwin. He's on the hunt, on a fresh soft tyres. But then again, Simon Weigang and Sven Noller also on fresh soft. James Baldwin down the inside of Mr. Anker. Quick work made of the Ferrari driver. Dominic Hoffman also behind all of these guys on fresh soft tyres. They will be climbing up the order very, very quickly, to say the least. In the background, Dominic Hoffman sweeps past the Ferrari as well. Now, Jarno Opmeer somehow is back within a second of Barry Borroman, and you have to think that Jarno Opmeer is playing with Barry right now. He has to be. Every time he's dropped out of a second, he has just got right back within that zone. And Barry's last two race wins, that win at Singapore, Jarno Opmeer went for the wrong strategy in qualifying and started all the way at the back of the grid. His other win at Japan, again, it was a bad race from Jarno, finishing outside of the top 10 for the only time in the season. There's no doubting Barry Borroman's pace, but it is second to Jarno Opmeer. Barry has been consistently performing, consistently getting those P2s. And when Jarno Opmeer is not performing, he turns those P2s into P1s. But Jarno Opmeer is performing here tonight in Mexico, and he has been sitting patiently and patiently, lap after lap after lap. And now he is closer than he has been all race long. And surely next time round is the lap that he pounces. He's 1.5 seconds behind the likes of Nicolas Matteo. That means that if he passes Barry, he'll have DRS to prevent Barry from getting back through. And he can use that to try to pull out of the 1 second gap from Barry. This is also going to be the last lap that Barry won't have DRS from the guys in the front. Jarno Opmeer, this is your chance. Lap 30 of 36. Mercedes versus Alfa Romeo, and Barry will go defensive. Jarno looks for the outside, and with the DRS, he makes easy work of the Mercedes. Jarno moves up to P4 and takes the effective race lead. And just like that, he has DRS from Nicolas Matteo, and the Flying Dutchman is flying even higher right now. How difficult will Nicolas Matteo make this for his teammate? Jarno will be hoping not too difficult. He has a little look down the inside into the S's, decides against it. Not a smart move, especially for someone with as much experience as Jarno Opmeer. Sven Noller has found a way past Lucas UK, but we're going to keep an eye on Jarno Opmeer, the man who we would presume will be taking the race win tonight. And he finds a way past Barry. Oh, pardon me, finds a way past Nicolas Matteo. Barry, on the other hand, is behind Nicolas. Now he's got an Alfa Romeo separating himself and Jarno. And Jarno, he's got DRS again from Ruben Vallejo. Jarno has perfectly timed this charge to the T. Absolutely fantastic, absolutely masterfully done. And Nicolas has DRS from Jarno. Barry's not going to be getting through on this lap. And for now, Jarno can actually just sit in this position, keep on giving Nicolas DRS, but I don't think he will. I highly doubt he will, as Lucas drops down even further. As Dominic Hoffman finds a way past. And right as I say that, Jarno finds a way past Ruben Vallejo, who's been having an excellent race. And next up is Daniela Haddad. Barry Borroman down in P5. And he is struggling to find a way through as quickly as Jarno Opmeer was able to. Lap 31 of 36. And it's been a case of the two-stop strategies versus the one-stop. And the two-stop strategies seem to be the quicker strategy. Jarno Opmeer on the back of Daniela Haddad. These two know each other well from F1 Esports. And Jarno Opmeer on those fresh soft tyres will not have any difficulty at all as we start lap 32 over 36. So 5 laps to go. And Jarno Opmeer sweeps the past Daniel Haddad and it takes the lead of the race. Barry Boromand finds a way past the sister Alfa Romeo of Nicolas Matteo. He's up to P4. He'll be closing in on Ruben Vallejo and Daniel Haddad shortly. Daniel Haddad at the moment in for what would be a fantastic P3 as well. I think his only podium of ORL season 13. But can Ruben Vallejo take yet another podium? He's had 3 podiums. He won last time out. It was demoted to P2 after time penalties were removed from Barry Boromand. He's had 2 third-place finishes at Baku, at Spain. Can he find another? But around the outside, there's contact. Big contact, and that will force Barry Boromand almost into the wall. That was a reset to track from Ruben Vallejo. That's a little bit of a naughty. Ruben defending for his life. Barry going for an audacious move. Who's at fault? That's one for the stewards to decide. And now Simon Weigang will climb up the order. And a third P3, a 4th podium for Ruben Vallejo is down the drain. Simon with those fresher soft tyres. Ruben will stand no chance. Drama at the very end. Barry, does he have wing damage? No, he doesn't. But you know what he does have? Michael Romanidis and Tomek hot on his heels. He's 1.5 seconds behind Nicolas Matteo, half a second behind Daniel Haddad. And regardless of whether you are a Barry fan, regardless of whether you are a Ruben Vallejo fan, the question that I ask is, Barry, why? You had 4 laps to go. You had 2 people to overtake. You just had to play it chill. You just had to get the exit through the final corner. You just had to be patient. And I think that is a little bit of inexperience. That is a little bit of hot-headedness coming in for Barry. And it might just cost him P2. He's within a second of Nicolas Matteo. He's overtaken the Alpha once before. He can do it again. Jarno Opmeer starts lap 34 of 36. 3 laps to go as Sven Noller and James Baldwin find a way past Ruben Vallejo, and Dominic Hoffman all of a sudden will now be into the points as well. James Baldwin will have a little look on Sven Noller too. Down the inside, and Dominic Hoffman has a little look as well. As Sven Noller almost runs into the back of James Baldwin, but he keeps his front wing clean. He keeps his front wing tidy. He'll have DRS, and he can have a look down into a turn of 4. But he's just that little bit too far back. And now we've got 2 battles really heating up. This for P8, and then this battle right here for P2. Nicolas Matteo is up into 2nd place. Daniel Haddad down to 3rd. And don't forget, Daniel Haddad will definitely be wanting this podium. He hasn't got one all season long. Barry Boromand, though, will be wanting to snatch this away with everything he has got. He's overtaken Nicolas before, but he has not overtaken Daniel Haddad. Lap 35 about to start. 2 laps to go. Barry has to get this done now or never, because otherwise Nicolas Matteo is going to fly off into the sunset. He's almost a second away already. Here comes Barry Boromand with the slipstream, with the DRS, with the better traction on those soft tyres, and he will slide past Daniel Haddad. But look at Michael Romanidis. Might just make it 3 wide into turn 1, but Michael plays it sensible and slots in behind for now. Can he get the exit through turns 2 and 3? It's a good exit. He's right on the back of the racing point, but he just loses a little bit of traction. Daniel Haddad with a DRS from Barry Boromand will make things a little bit trickier for Michael down into turn 4. He looks for the outside. He holds it round the outside. What a move from Michael Romanidis. He gets the job done, and Tomek will follow through. Daniel Haddad gets absolutely mugged by a beautiful move from the Williams driver. Absolutely spectacular. And now Barry Boromand as we approach the final lap of the race. He needs to get past Nicholas Mateo, and he needs to keep Michael Romanidis behind. Jarno Opmeer, 6.5 seconds in the lead, and it might just be an Alfa Romeo 1-2. Where has this come from? Sven Noller is back ahead of James Baldwin, and this gap, this group from P2 goes all the way down now to Ruben Vallejo, down in P11. The man who was once in P3, now so far down the order. Barry Borroman, he knows he does not have the time. He knows he has to get the move done as quickly as possible. He has 2 more DRS straights to get the job done. Through turn 3. Look at that ERS bar. He has nothing left. Nicholas Mateo has nothing left. Barry Borroman too far back. Michael Romanidis has a little bit. What about Tomek? He's got a little bit more, about 15 to 20% ERS. This is the battle for P2. Jarno Opmeer will take this win. It has been a fantastic drive from the Dutchman, but all eyes are on the battle for P2. We look nowhere else, and Barry is not getting the driver through the S's. I think Nicholas will hold on to P2 after a fantastic defensive drive from the Alfa Romeo driver. Barry Borroman is just too far away. He needed 1 more lap. Jarno Opmeer takes the win at Mexico. Another win for the Dutchman. Nicholas Mateo will claim P2, his first podium of the season. A fantastic drive, but time penalties come into play. Tomek will claim P2. Barry Borroman in P3. Michael Romanidis P4. Nicholas Mateo P5. Ahead of James Baldwin, Simon Weigang, as Dominic Hoffman, Ruben Vallejo, and Sven Noller complete the top 10. Dominic Hoffman takes the in-game driver of the day, but don't forget, you guys can vote for your driver of the day on the straw poll that I'm sure is on the YouTube chat. Who do you think pulled off a fantastic race? Tomek took that P2 spot in the end. Barry with a fantastic drive. Had some great overtakes. Michael Romanidis for that move round the outside of turn 4. Or is it for the masterclass? Is it for Jarno Opmeer? Or maybe it's a driver I haven't mentioned. Make sure to vote in the straw poll. But wow, what a race here at Mexico. Time penalties for almost everyone. It was just the pole of Tomek and the Hungarian of Bentz, who didn't pick up a single penalty. So, to confirm, Jarno Opmeer takes the win from Tomek. Barry Borroman in P3, ahead of Michael Romanidis, Nicholas Mateo, James Baldwin, Simon Weigang, Dominic Hoffman, Ruben Vallejo, and Sven Noller. But wow, that was absolutely thrilling to the very end. And honestly, I'm just a little bit shocked by just how intense that was right at the end. So many time penalties. I probably should have pulled them up a little bit earlier, but in the end, I decided against it. And, well, I think it put us a little bit more on edge, let's say, but absolutely crazy. And hopefully we can get some driver interviews. That's why we have this word up here, because it's interviews. But absolutely fantastic stuff from everyone. I've lost my voice a little bit. I hope I have kept you entertained. I have tried my very best. But absolutely insane. I am not seeing any drivers joining us just yet. What I'll do while I wait is let me pull up the old YouTube chat. Let's see what you guys are saying. And if you guys have some questions you would like us to ask the top 3, make sure to drop it in the chat, and I will do my very best to get those through to our viewers over the course of the driver interviews. I have tried my very best. Right, is there anything happening? Let me just ask. Okay, right. I'm gonna hop in. Hey, Tomek.
Hi.
Right. I guess as people jump in, we can start off our interviews because our race winner, Mr. Jarno Otmir, is here. Jarno, that was crazy. Talk us through the start of the race because you sat behind Barry so well for so long. How much patience did you really need in that first, well, 1.5 stints, really?
Yeah, I was playing obviously a little bit the waiting game, as there's no need to try and break the DRS, as I think that was never really going to work fighting Barry. So yeah, I played a bit the waiting game, pitted slightly earlier in the first stint than I really wanted. I think second stint I could have gone one lap longer as well, but decided not to. So yeah, I was really playing a waiting game at the start, definitely. Yeah.
After your first pit stop, Tomek went for the undercut and he came out ahead of both you and Barry. Did you have any thoughts that this might make it slightly more difficult? There's another driver for you to have to get past.
No, not really, because I knew Tomek used a lot of ERS in his in or out, outlap. I mean, to get the undercut. So then I knew if I just keep using my ERS, then I'm gonna get past anyway. And then I think the second attempt I got at him, I already saw his rear light flashing when I still had 50%. So I knew then the straight after I was gonna get him. So I did basically.
And finally, what was going through your head? What made the decision for you to decide what lap you wanted to get past Barry? Because to me, it looked like you picked the absolute perfect time. You got past Barry, and then you had DRS from that whole train of cars ahead of you.
Yeah, it was of course the plan from the start. I was quite lucky, to be honest, that he just didn't get DRS from the traffic the lap I overtook him, because it was very close. But that was exactly what I was hoping for. And then yeah, I pushed him to use the ERS, and then again I still had quite a lot, and I saw his rear light flashing, and then I was like, all right, no, now I'm gonna get him. And then yeah, it's one lap fresher tires as well, of course, which helped me even more getting through the traffic and pulling away from Daniela, basically.
Well, congrats again, Jarno, on the win, and fantastic to see you back in form after finishing outside the points last race. So, congrats, and we look forward to seeing you in fine form again next week.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Tomek, on to you. First of all, apologies because I think I botched your name God knows how many times during the race and qualifying, but for you, that seemed like a pretty good race. You kept it clean. You did everything that you had to do. You got the undercut to work. What was the thoughts with the undercut? Did you think that you'd, lose time at the end, or was it just always the strategy to go for?
I think this race, before this race, I knew that many people are gonna go for soft, medium, soft. But thankfully, since I've already done league races, actually only just one, but I've done league races on this track before, and I knew that the soft, medium, medium strategy is probably gonna be better because I can pull off an undercut twice, and the undercut is very, very strong around here. So that's exactly what I did. That's exactly what I opted for. And then when I came out in the net lead of the race after the first pit stop, the first undercut, I knew that the strategy is working, and then obviously I lost positions to Barry and Diana since I had to use my ERS on the outlap to gain those positions in the first place. And then obviously when we came up to the hard runners, I unfortunately got stuck behind Lucas, who I wasn't sure what he was doing. He kept fighting me for no reason, being on all the tires, and at that point I thought the race was lost because Barry and Jano, who I was easily keeping up with, pulled ahead like 5 seconds. So it was a really annoying part of the race, and I thought this is all over now because I had the whole train now on my back instead of the back of the leader. But yeah, I pulled off another undercut, came out in net lead again, just proving again how powerful it was. And for the rest of the race, I just knew that I probably don't have the chance to battle the people who went on the softs. Trying to stay in the DRS for as long as possible obviously wasn't meant to be because the mediums were older and way slower. And then, yeah, I realized I'm just keeping it clean. Everyone had penalties in front of me, and that got me a P2, which, all things considered, is a really good result. And I think I could have challenged Jano today if it wasn't for obviously for Lucas giving me such a hard challenge on weigh all the tires. But yeah, I think I minimized the damage coming from that little part of the race, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with the result.
Second's definitely a good result because it's your best result of the season. So congrats on that, Tomek, and we look forward to seeing you on the podium again next week.
Thank you very much.
On to our third place man, Barry. You kept Jano behind you for so long, and it looked like you had that race under control. Eventually got past you, but the incident that I want to talk about was one, I think it was with Ruben Vallejo, and it was in the stadium section, and we caught the aftermath of it. Could you talk us through what happened? And I think Barry's mic is not working. So, on that...
Hello?
Hey, Barry.
Yeah, hi everyone. Yeah, my microphone was mute and I didn't know that, sorry. Yeah, the first thing I really want to talk about, like, I lost my first 2 runs in quali. I knew, because my strategy is soft, medium, soft, I need to save one of my soft tires for a race, for the last stint. But I got really, unlucky because I put my, PC to, I really go for really share the video. Like I don't know what just happened. I got 2 screen freezes for my first 2 runs. Even I think the stream really show that I spun, but it wasn't really for the driving. It was for screen freezes, and then need to really back without any banker in this weird track. Then back to the track, really did a really clean lap, and did a 0.3. And for the banker, it wasn't really bad, but for the last run, I lost like I think half a tenth in the last corner, but it's still pole. But I knew like till the last 16, I will be really good but for the last 16, because I used my 4 tires in the quali, I will not have that pace I need to keep the Yarno behind. And then, yeah, pitted, I knew I'm not gonna have that pace. And then I went to the pit 1 lap earlier than Yarno. I think it wasn't the...
Is anyone else hearing the static, or is it just on my end?
For me, it's fine.
Just say something. I just want to test. Is it? If it is.
Hello.
Yeah, there is some static coming through at the moment.
So I'll do it quick and then we'll resume.
Okay. We'll come back to you, Barry, if we can get this one, because it's almost inaudible now. I want to go next.
Still bad?
Yes, it's.
Okay.
I don't know how to explain it. It's interesting.
If you want, I can change my headphone.
If you could change your headphones, that'd be great.
Yeah, give me a second.
Yeah. So, I think while we wait for Barry to return with a second headset, I think I'll jump to Daniela Haddad, because Danielle, you had an insane race. The one stop seemed to be working absolutely fantastically for you. And then right at the end, those soft runners were just closing up. But you put up a really good defense.
Yeah, hello everybody. Thanks for having me here. Yeah, it's such a shame because actually I was managing the race really well, really nice and clean. I knew that I wanted to be out of the fight, and that is what happened. Obviously, it wasn't the ideal strategy, soft to hard, but I knew that if you stay in the train, you can have a fight, you can have a lot of things that can actually slow your pace a bit and slow down your pace. So I decided to go longer with soft, losing a bit at the beginning. But yeah, it was paying really well, the strategy till the end. I mean, less than half a lap at the end, we had the puncher, and I was actually not even fighting because I knew that the other were having penalty. So for me, it was a kind of second or third place for sure. Then there was, unfortunately, Romanidis a bit too aggressive, pushing me out of the track and making me lose the position on Tomek. And it's a bit a shame because actually Tomek was my only rival in that point of the race because it was without penalty. And yeah, it was just a shame that actually the race ended in that way. I don't think was deserved, but that's it. Those are the race, and there's been anyway a very good race from my side, clean, and I'm happy of what I've done.
You mentioned the puncture. We didn't actually catch it on stream, but there was another puncture that happened as well. Was the track just particularly hard on tires, considering that there were 2 punctures in one race?
Yeah, the track was definitely hard on tires. I mean, James, for example, decided to pit earlier because it was impossible for him to arrive at the end, pitting 2 or 3 laps earlier than me on soft. And I knew that I was really on the limit. But the game randomly give you a puncture over 75 or over 80%, something like that. Sometimes you get it, sometimes not. I was just up the 75, something like that, around 75 to 80, and I had the puncture. So yeah, randomly can go better and randomly can go worse. Today has not been my day.
Well, congratulations anyway on a fantastic drive, and a shame to see you drop down the order at the very end.
Hello?
Thank you.
Hello, Speed Barry.
How is it right now?
It is better, definitely better.
Is it too, is it too loud, or what is the,
That's fine. Like right at the end of what you were saying was good.
Okay.
Oh, wait, not like that. A bit further from the mic, and then it's perfect.
Okay, now?
Yes, perfect. So, I mean, continue where you left off, which I think you were getting to that final incident that you had with Ruben, who I think is also in the chat. So hopefully we can have his perspective once you've given yours as well.
Yeah, just I was there, and even I got again 2 warning for 1 incident. So I really don't know. It wasn't even warning. I just entered to the pit, didn't really manage the car, to be honest, in the white line, and then they gave me 2 warnings. But I tested in the practice, and it wasn't even warning. So I think it will be. I don't know what was the wrong with the game. It's not even consistency. But yeah, anyway, we move on. And yeah, I knew, as I said, because I used my 4 set of tires in the quali, I knew last testing gonna be used tire, so the pace wasn't really will be there. And then I really used my so much battery because I was really catching the traffic and overtaking everyone in the traffic, and I got run off the ERS while Jarno really kept his ERS up, and then the ERS really helped him, and especially new tires from the quali really help him out to finish first, and congrats to him and GG. And yeah, that incident was I last lap I overtake one of the Alfa Romeos in that corner, and it was really clean and fair. But that lap I really went around the outside, and then the Williams car didn't really give me any room, and he really turned on me and he went for his apex. But yeah, these things happen, and stewards will probably check that.
I mean, while we've got Ruben here, would you like to give your perspective of the incident as well?
I'm not gonna say that Ruben did it on a purpose, but these things probably happen in the racing, and even I got so many pushed in the braking by one of the Williams. I think it was Michael, and it was one of the Alfa Romeo guys as well, but just don't know what to say. But yeah, these things really happen in the racing sometimes, sometimes unlucky. But yeah, steward, I think it's a best decision to steward really check it out.
Yeah. And Ruben Vallejo, your thoughts on it?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I think it was a shame because I didn't see him a lot because I was going to let him by on the straight. He was with new softs. So yeah, I know I wanted to be first on the castle section and then let him by, but yeah. So I closed the door, obviously not expected he was there. A shame because I lost too much time with that maneuver, but yeah, I was ashamed. Not my it was a race incident in my opinion. He was obviously going for the gap because the gap was there, but yeah, I closed the door obviously. but yeah, it was a shame because we both lose time with that incident. So yeah, to repeat, I was going to let him buy on the step. So yeah, nothing happened. Is sometimes happens on racing. So yeah, and I'm not gonna blame to him because he didn't do nothing wrong.
Well, thank you for giving your perspective, and congrats on picking up some points, because I think you're closing in onto Matthias Collegon in the championship, and now I think there's, what, 1 point separating you two or something like that. So best of luck in your battle for P5.
Yeah, thanks, dude.
Michael, I'll jump to you next. The thing I really want to ask you is, I think it was on the last lap. Oh, pardon me. On the last lap, you pulled off a really nice move round the outside of turn 4. So I just wanted to ask you for your thoughts on that and what was going through your head at that point.
Was that on Haddad?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, I tried it around the outside. I knew I could have the grip. I was on softs and he was on mediums. And yeah, I tried it around the outside. I got to being side by side with him around halfway through the corner, basically, and he saw that, but he still turned in. But anyway, I got a warning for that, which was a shame. So yeah, that was the move, really. I knew I had the grip and I committed to it. And yeah, I think I had a guy ahead of him as well, so he couldn't really carry a lot of speed. So yeah, it was a nice move.
Well, thank you, Michael, and congrats on your P4.
Thanks.
Right. Next up is Mr. James Baldwin, who's been very patiently sat waiting for his turn. James, how you doing?
Oh, good, mate. Yeah. I fell asleep for a minute there, but I woke up and I'm ready to answer all your questions.
I mean, first of all, it seemed like a decent qualifying for you. I think you qualified right alongside your teammate Tomek. How was the race? Because it seemed that you were, right in the thick of things, and then you decided to split strategy from pretty much the rest of the field.
Yeah, quali weren't the greatest. I mean, the banker lap was all right, but everything else after that was just mistakes and stuff. So not ideal, but and strategy-wise, I didn't really know what to do, so I just kind of guessed as I went along, and it turned out okay. Did a soft, hard, soft. Had a use soft at the end, so it was okay. But yeah, I thought just keeping it clean and trying not to get penalties would be the key. I had one penalty and it worked out quite nicely, finishing 6th. So yeah, just a better quality would result in a better race. I had decent race pace. So
I missed the whole battle that you had at the very end, because I think there were 3 different 4-way battles going on across the track. So how did that battle end up for all of our viewers who and myself who really missed that final lap?
yeah, it was pretty hectic, but I mean, I wasn't really interested in overtaking anyone because I had less penalties than everyone around me. So I just wanted to finish the race as quickly as possible so I could leapfrog everyone. But everyone else didn't have that mentality and they just wanted to overtake each other. So it did back us up a bit from the front runners. But no, it was a really fun race regardless, and it's good practice ahead of F1 Esports next week.
Well, congrats on the P6, and I think you're also jumping a few people in the championship as well.
Great. That's what I like to hear. Cheers. I'll see you next week, probably.
All right. See you, James. Thanks for joining us. All right, ladies and gents, that is all that we have at time for here at the Online Racing League. I've been Milky Serial, and this has been the Mexican Grand Prix. We'll be back next week at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin for the USA Grand Prix, the penultimate round before we head to Yas Marina for our season finale. Thank you, everyone, for stopping by. And until next week, stay fast and good night.